Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's 9 o'clock. I call this Sawyer County Public Safety Committee meeting to order. Madam Clerk, can we have roll call, please?
Ron Buckholz,
Present.
Mark Helwig,
Here.
Jeff Haney, Marshall Savitsky. You have a quorum.
Pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, number 5, certification of compliance with the opens meeting law.
This meeting was noticed to the public and the media as required by 19.84 of the Wisconsin statutes.
Okay, number 6, the meeting agenda has been set. Number 7, public comment. Anyone requesting public comment at this time? Any hands up anywhere on there? So, okay. Number 8. Wait, Linda, I thought you wanted to talk on the other things. Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry, Linda.
Good morning, Linda Zilmer, Edgewater property owner, resident of the Village of Birchwood. And my public comment is, first of all, about agenda item number 8. And I'm excited to see that maybe there's actually forward movement of what this committee decided a long time ago. Unfortunate part is now that it's only getting started now.
Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Now that it's only getting started now, I have a feeling there's going to be delay in materials and things will cost a lot more. But that said, you have a resolution that has a number of points in it. What I'd like to ask you to remove from the resolution is giving the county administrator the authority to contract. This is a public works project. And under Wisconsin state statutes 59.52, parent 29, the county is required to do a bidding process, and I'm sure you can get legal reference on what's required. So what you might want to authorize the county administrator to do at this point is to start the preparation with GenCom of specifications and the bidding process so that it's done correctly and you don't get held up because the county is not following the proper process for a public works project. And when those specifications are developed, maybe have a plan A and a plan B with regard to the WOJB tower. One would be if the county can place a transmitter on that tower, and the second option B is if that does not play out, what would it cost to put up a tower that would provide the same coverage for that area? The second item I wanted to address was item 12DI, which was this committee directed an attorney, and I'm assuming it was TJ Duffy, to put some language in the ordinance about animal control. This committee, middle of 2024, under resolution 2024-20, adopted amendments to this ordinance. It was very clear it's to consider all animals and not to exclude cats. And I have yet to find a municipality or a county ordinance that I've looked at that have excluded cats. They all include it, either by specific language or by the general language that's used. Whoever did this draft now has made your ordinance inconsistent. So after watching 20-some years of this happening in zoning, the reason the county has been spending probably in hundreds of thousands of dollars now in the last 3 years to amend its zoning ordinances is because these little tweaks have been put into ordinances that then create an inconsistency. So I don't know, I have a 17-inch screen. I need to read the ordinances online. I don't know how much you actually read the language, but when it comes to the restraint, the language in there simply says that cats are exempt from the provisions in this section, and yet later in the section it names cats. So please keep it the way it is and enforce it. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. What? Nope. Chris Klein?
Hi, I'm Chris Klein, 3751 Anderson Road, Loretta. I'm also the fire chief of the Draper Fire Department. Glad to hear that the communication upgrades are planned to go forward. Been waiting for that. Currently, our pager range is about 7 to 10 miles outside of Draper. So if I were to get a page right now, even though I got my pager on, it won't work here. So that needs to get corrected. Looking forward to that. We have a small tower in Draper. It's only about 55 feet tall. That's one of the reasons why the range is so bad. It currently does broadcast a little bit for police. However, I just wanted to offer that we have a new development in Draper with, we've got fiber internet that is now to our fire hall. It's not active yet, but it will be active in the coming months. And it's also all the way up County Highway GG. So should there be a need for a plan modification, it would be good for you to be aware that we've got fiber in the area now. And also, there's a new cell tower on Route 70 on the far east side towards Oxbow, and that's actually providing some reasonably good cell phone coverage in that area where before it was a total dead zone. And then that brings me into future-proofing this. I know that the federal government has like a kind of a hope for an E911 system to be a more modern system, and I'm just wondering if that's being considered as far as making this project be able to adapt into that in the future without a tremendous amount more money to be spent. So it's something to consider. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anyone else on public comment? Okay, now we'll move on to number 8. And Mark asked me the question, we're not having a joint with economic development because Bug Tussle's out.
Okay.
So we're not having a joint. That's the email I got.
Oh.
Okay, number 8. Public Safety Radio Network discussion and possible action, consideration of any proposals for Public Safety Radio Network. Number 8, is Andy Alvarado on there?
I'm here.
Andy, you want to address this?
Yes, yeah, we're not having the joint meeting because Bug Tussle informed us last week that they were declining to provide a proposal, as they had in the past. They indicated they're not doing any bonding projects this year, and that was the $10 million or $60 million option to partner with them for towers and fiber. So they're out of the picture, and to the extent that they're not providing a proposal. They potentially are still in the picture, and just in that they do either own or plan to build towers in the county still, and they could be potential towers that we could lease for space depending on how the network is laid out. So what you have in front of you today is essentially the same proposal that you saw in September, October of last year from GenCom, that would provide the equipment and communications, the microwave to put the system in place. The yet to be determined part, of the part to be pinned down, is the tower location. So you have in the proposal the potential tower sites. Probably a positive since last fall is that we are aware of more options in that regard as to where there are towers we could locate on. The proposal does still include the 2 towers to be potentially built that the county would own. But I think with a little time, giving GenCom some time to move ahead and solidify all of those sites, we think that building 2 towers would be a worst case scenario that we'd have to build. There might be better options for leasing at a price that would be more cost effective for us. GenCom is online as well if you have any questions on the layout and the tower locations. But otherwise, the resolution is essentially the same resolution you saw in the fall. As far as just, doesn't completely get us wrapped into the project, but I thought it was good to still have a resolution to signify that we're moving ahead with the GenCom proposal. And within 2 months, I did change the end to have the, within 2 months, we come back with a final budget number and a definitive where these are where the towers are going to go. These are how many towers we're going to have to build. These are the ones we're going to lease. I think we can get that all done within a couple months, and they can continue to move forward on the project. And as far as entering into contracts, it'd be primarily entering into a contract with GenCom to start doing official work on the project. They've been really good about providing information and laying out some preliminary work, but this would actually commit us to the project with them.
This is Gary Pelletier with GenCom. There was an RFQ that was issued in 2023. There was public comment that there was no bidding process. There was an RFQ that was issued. We responded in November 2023. So this pricing still goes in line with that. It was just never funded.
So the cost wouldn't go up?
There are, I mean, things are changing a little bit on location, but right now I believe we've still kept the cost at the normal cost that we had bid in 2023. So, but anytime you do a radio project, this is what you have for a price. But if sites change, we have to go higher on a tower, lower on a tower. So the cost will vary a little bit from that. And that's where this cost is really based off of that RFQ response from 2023.
Andy, it's Mark here. Do we have a resolution out there that we have to approve, or how do we go forward?
Yeah, there's a resolution in the packet to move it ahead.
On the agenda.
Like I said, it's slightly different than the resolution you approved in October and sent to the board, which is ultimately denied. So this would be a new resolution.
Okay, then I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolution proceeding with the public safety radio system improvements.
Okay. We have a motion by Mr. Helwig to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
And a second by Mr. Haney. Any more discussion?
I just want to make one comment. Unfortunately, because of certain individuals, we wasted a lot of time on this, waiting around to see what Bug Tussle was going to do, when we could have gone ahead.
It would have been in the works
It would
already.
have been in the works like 3 months ago. So it's really sad that a few people held this up.
Andy, I have a question too. So now you were stating that possible other towers of leasing other towers. Where's this gonna set this back at now? I mean, we've been pushing it for a long time now. Is this gonna set it back even more? I mean, if we go with GenCom, I mean, it went through this board committee twice. It was approved 5-0. And then we're getting it approved again. Where's this gonna put us?
If I could comment on that, this is Gary Pelletier again with GenCom. Leasing towers, actually, if the towers are already built, sometimes it's actually the time frame is shortened because the tower is already there. To build a tower with all the regulatory approvals that need to be done through the state, and it could take 6 to 8 months just to get approval to start building the tower. Where Bug Tussle, if they build the towers and they quoted roughly $1,000 a month per site, if we release from them, $12,000 a year is cheaper than building a tower at $500,000 or plus for a new tower that you're building. So even if we're leasing, you're probably going to get your radio system a little quicker.
Okay, all right. Thank you for that information.
We still have a holdup for that WOJB tower, though. Is there someone that we can put in place to contact them, or can we send maybe as a contact or tweet or somebody?
I have a comment with that. Andy, you want to tell them or?
Mr. Buckle's got the wheels turning. We're preparing with GenCom a proposal for WOJB yesterday, and we'll have it wrapped up today to give to them for consideration.
What does that mean?
Well, I talked to Mr. Schuman yesterday and he told me what to do and I give it to Andy. And we are to send a proposal to WOJB. Carl Abeck must be the manager or whatever out there with our proposal, and he will take it before the tribal governing board. So that's what the information I got, and I relayed it on to Andy, and Liz knows about it. Now the committee knows. So it's in the works. So now we just gotta wait. So.
And I believe that, is there a meeting for the tribal on, did you say Monday?
I don't know when that is. But you're gonna write up the proposal, right?
Yes, I've already worked on basically the drawings and the site plan of where we're going to go on the tower, or where we propose to go, as well as our equipment in the building. And then we're writing up there's a little more information, background on the project. So
Because from my understanding, and I talked to one other tribal member, it's gonna benefit the tribe to have us utilize that tower, from what I understand. So I don't know why they would not go with it, but that's the tribe and we can't speak for them. But anyway, that's what I was told yesterday, and now you
and we'll put that in the proposal as well. We did a coverage maps from Pipestone, and it just doesn't cover that whole tribal area. So, this will definitely benefit them.
right, because they told me the radio communication out there is terrible.
And this will improve it.
All right, so we have a motion by Mr. Helwig and a second by Mr. Haney to approve the resolution proceeding with public safety radio system improvement with GenCom. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, motion carries to approve. All right. Number 9. Consider the approval of minutes from the previous meeting. Now, there's going to be some amendments on there, right, Liz? So, but we can approve last month's, right?
The dates were incorrect. So last month, no one noticed that you approved minutes that said October 31st, and it should have been a December meeting. And so we can just correct that, going forward, so the website is correct. So no one's confused which meeting that was. And then the ones that are before you today also say October 31st, and those should say January 2nd, when you had your last meeting. So if you wanted to consider approval of those minutes with those amended dates, that's what I'm suggesting.
Okay. Mr. Stitsky?
I'll make a motion to approve those minutes with those changes, Liz.
Okay. We have a second? I'll second it. Second by Mr. Haney to amend the previous minutes. That would be both of them, right? Okay.
I guess approve ones from last time.
Yes, I looked at them, yeah, and then we need approval from last month.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. We have a second?
I'll
Mr.
second
Haney,
it.
we have a second. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, motion carries to approve and with the amendments. Okay, number 10, Circuit Court. Marge? Judge? Oh, yeah, okay, Marge is second, you're first.
All right, everything's going really well. We just celebrated our 1-year anniversary of Recovery Court. I would have to say that it's going amazing. It's going fantastic. We have seven participants right now, all in various phases and all, showing up. We do have 1 or 2 that are a little kind of tough to nail down, but we're still learning. We're still trying to figure out the program. We're still trying to figure out what's best for the program. So I think that all in all, things are going really well. We also have that youth justice grant that is focused on truancy through ages 10 to 16, we're starting to do referrals for that grant, that program. So I think that that's going to really help with the truancy situation in the area. Of course, it's only a 6-year age, group that we're capturing with that, but that's not going to stop us in the other areas, of course, the other ages, but it's nice to have some of that gap filled in. Another new thing for us, and maybe March is going to touch on this too, is the small claims mediation. We're getting a lot of help now from a mediator who we're going to be able to send cases in small claims specific cases to that mediator, so they'll be able to help us, which will clear up some of our court calendar that gets bogged down with some of those court trials and small claims issues. I'm not sure if anybody watches court TV, but that's pretty much what it is. Someone comes in with a box of stuff and they're like, ah. So the mediator will help with that, because rather than that being, Judge Ackler or myself, it'll be the mediator first. And that, I think their resolution rate is like 80% or something like that. So it's going to really take a huge chunk of our court time and free it up. So all in all, everything I think is looking really great. The cases are moving through the system, I would say, faster now that we're kind of through the backlog. We did change a couple of things after the first year of, was it the first year? How long have I been here? Like 2 years? No, a year. Oh, God, feels like a lot longer, guys. I'm sure you're all thinking the exact same thing. So we, at the end of 24, kind of chatted, did some reflecting on how, cases are divided, all of that kind of thing. And we did some tweaks to it. I think that that's going to help in areas where it just didn't, it was a little bit jagged. And I think it'll be smoother now as far as the way the cases are divided. So good all around. There's another issue that I want to bring up at some point. I'm not too well versed on it yet. And until I'm super educated on it, I don't want to make a stink about it. But I'll be on my soapbox soon. So, so I'm sure you can all look forward to that. Otherwise, that's it.
Okay, any
Thank you.
questions for the judge? You and Judge Yackel don't watch Judge Judy, do you?
No, I think I did when I was a kid,
Okay.
or something. But
Oh, all right. All right, number 11. Clerk of Courts Office Report. Marge?
Judge did pick up the point on the small claims and the mediation. Small claims return dates were being held at the clerk's windows. That's now before the two judges in their duty weeks, which is a big relief for our office. It takes some pressure off at our window for that. And we're thankful that the judges are now taking that into their courtroom. And we do feel that the system that is set up with the mediator and with the judges, et cetera, it's much cleaner and it processes much quicker. The judge can make the decision right there. And the people, when they come to the window, aren't so upset that they're not actually seeing a judge that day. So that makes it much easier for us. So, and then I submitted my report. I also submitted the annual report that Andy had suggested the department heads submit. If you have any questions on any of that.
Report was really interesting. Thank you for that. So,
We're using all the tools we can in our toolbox to get the collections done, so.
anyone have any questions for Marge? All right, thank you, Marge.
Thank you.
All right, number 12, Sheriff's Department Report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll do the patrol report.
Okay,
Roll call volume has dropped last month to about 643. 3-month trend shows it's 757 in November, and December closed out at 660. This was also an increase from where we were at this time last year, which was 555 calls, mainly attributed to a little more snowfall in the area and a little more people in our area right now. For January of 25, Sawyer County deputies in period have issued 39 traffic citations, 10 written warnings, and 15 non-traffic citations. Per community maps, there have been 26 crashes, 6 with personal injuries, and no fatalities so far. And that also starts up our new year, so that will start our total crashes to date as being the same. We did finally close out to 2024 with a total of 361 crashes, 84 with personal injuries, and 3 fatalities. We also closed out our small rural tribal body-worn camera grant that was awarded about 3 years ago and have been reimbursed about $78,000 in total, which helped offset the cost of our body cam deployment. And are currently looking at additional grant services to continue to support our existing program. We also held some in-house training in partnership with Public Health, Child Protective Services, both in Sawyer and Washburn County, and the Shell Lake Police Department. And as currently right now, we're still planning for a full Berkey race. With more snow, it seems increasingly likely now, but there are several contingency plans in the event that they have to change the course. Concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have any questions for Lieutenant Rapinski? All right, thank you, Lieutenant. All right, number B, jail report. The next lieutenant.
Thank you. January's jail numbers, we had ended the month with 59 total inmates on average, 14 females to 45 females. 16 of those average probation incarceration. Pre-sentenced was at 32 and 11 sentenced incarceration. We currently have 4 on electronic monitoring, 58 inmates the day that this report was generated. Current unemployment rates at 71%. Noted, we recently filled our Huber position this past Monday. That's been vacant since recently past 6 months, so that's a benefit to us. We've recently filled a court services financial position. That position will start on Monday. So currently staffing is, knock on wood, looking very good in the jail, so.
Good. Right, anyone have any questions for the lieutenant? Okay, number C, Communication Center and Emergency Management reports.
Good morning, thank you.
Morning.
The joint powers were received back from the townships and villages. Once approved, will be mailed to the state. I believe it's on the agenda for after this. We got approved for a grant to host a field training officer course, which will be held at the sheriff's office on June 9th through the 13th. We have sent invitations out to all surrounding counties for jail, dispatch, and patrol. We have about all 36 seats filled with that class. Attended the Fire Association meeting and discussions with school district administrators regarding dispatch having access to security cameras for the schools in the event that we need to have them. Hopefully we don't. Like Lieutenant said, the call volume's up slightly from last year. We have a total of 1,215 calls for the month of January, up from 1047 from last year. Emergency management. Last week, we attended the tabletop for the flood that caused 1,000 stomach upsets. There was several community stakeholders in that meeting, which was a very good turnout. Submitted to the state the EMPG and EPCR grants. We'll be holding our next LAPC meeting. Actually, there's a correction. We'll be holding it at Enbridge. We'll be taking a tour of their facility and going over the BRIC grant, which is the Building Resilient Infrastructures and Communities, which was awarded to Sawyer County, Taylor, Rusk, and Price counties to update our Sawyer County hazard mitigation plan. Washburn County and Sawyer County Emergency Management will be hosting a role of elected officials in disasters response and recovery class. It's a 2-part course. The first one is training, which will be held on February 25th. 2 different sessions from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. in Sawyer and 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. in Washburn, with a follow-up workshop to be held in Washburn on April 1st and Sawyer in the evening of April 1st.
Okay, thank you. Do you need an approval for this joint powers agreement renewal? Okay, all right. Does somebody want to make that? Sheriff, you got something you want to say?
No, you can go ahead with that, and
Okay.
I'm going to add something after.
All right, we need a motion to approve the joint powers agreement.
Make that motion.
Okay, we have motion by Mr. Savitsky and a second by Mr. Helwig to approve the joint powers agreement. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, Sheriff, what?
I would just like to add, as well as we've had 3 meetings with the Berkey, the stakeholders being local law enforcement, Bayfield, Sawyer, the city of Hayward, and federal and state partners, as well as the public works from Sawyer and the other municipalities involved there. And this Tuesday, the 11th, should be the final meeting here with all of the stakeholders there, putting things together and making a decision. It looks like the upcoming weather forecast is promising as well, so hopefully it's business as usual like most years in the past, but there is a lot of work that goes into it from the backside, so, and we want to extend the thanks from the community members and stakeholders very involved, and every year it gets a little more fine-tuned, and I think that organization on the backside is what makes the event what it is today on the front side.
Okay, thank you. Sheriff, I got one quick question. You got any updates on the arsons?
We're still working on, we've done some search warrants and the investigation is ongoing and we're hopeful. there's just a lot of contingencies and things involved there that make it difficult, but we're optimistic and hopeful and working with DCI, the fire marshals, and hopefully we have a positive outcome there in the end.
Yep,
The last thing we want is something more to happen.
Well, it seems like since you put up that picture on Facebook, it don't happen no more, so
Yes,
that's when it seemed like it stopped.
yeah, we've taken note of the same thing, Chairman.
So, anyway, all right, thank you, Sheriff, for that update. All right, number D, Code Enforcement Specialist, Chaz, what do you got?
Okay, so first, just kind of brief overview. The revenue has mainly been from dog licenses, which have taken off and been doing really well. I have done several permits for like the pet grooming and boarding and that kind of places, so that's good to go. Admissions into the pound, pretty average, with half getting reclaimed and half going to Northwoods Humane Society. The calls have mostly been for dogs at large, per usual. And then with public health or environmental health, I'm starting to do more with them. I'm starting to do more with the TRHs, helping with inspections, that kind of stuff. And then also doing the water lab and testing water samples and stuff like that as well. That's all I really have for that report. I don't know if we want to go on to the ordinance right away.
Yes, I mean, do you have any questions for, right, yeah, go ahead, Chad.
Okay, so with the animal control ordinance, per our last meeting, we did have Duffy, Attorney Duffy, kind of go through it and make a couple amendments, excluding domestic cats is what we kind of came to. So basically, those changes are going to be on page 2 within the definitions. Basically, the animals at large is where we kind of wanted to exclude cats, and then below that, we kind of added a little definition for domestic cats, just to clarify it a little bit. So basically, with the new ordinance, it's going to exclude cats from animals at large, and then kind of the restraint section, which is on page 12. So that basically just includes kind of the same thing, just that cats don't really have to be restrained, as in like leashes and like on the property and that kind of stuff. And then, yeah, at large, so they can, if you see cats roaming, that kind of thing.
Okay, I know this committee wanted to exclude cats from the ordinance. Are you still on board with that, or?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. With that being said, then I need a motion to approve the animal control ordinance amendment as presented.
I will make that motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Savitsky.
I will second
And a
it.
second by Mr. Haney to approve their animal control ordinance amendment. Any more discussion?
Mr. Chair, and you're also approving to send that to the board for final approval.
Oh, okay, all right. Any more discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries to approve and send it on to the county board. All right. Number 13, child support report. Have anyone here?
The chair, the director indicated she had a conflict, but she was still going to try to make it as soon as she was meeting with one of their clients, and as soon as she was done, she was going to try to get to the meeting.
Okay. She comes, we'll put her on. All right, we're going to number 14, emergency services.
All right, well, if you have any questions about my report, I do have some things to add since I did my report. We got our brand new ambulance in, Waiting for Conroy to be ready so he could put the lettering, the stickering on. And all the stuff for that is ordered and en route, waiting on GenCom for the radios and stuff as well. So that rig should be in service. I'm hoping by the beginning of next month, we should have everything done, like the state and the state inspection and everything over for that. As you can see that I've broken down the townships even more. I was able to get into my reporting software, and after sorting through all the data points, I was able to clean up a lot of it so I can keep track of those a lot better, and the Cordy and the minutes. We have been also doing the two-person cruise since starting February in Hayward, and that's Monday through Saturday. Sundays are usually a really low call volume, so we don't staff that. We're using the second crew mostly with part-timers. Starting February, since now that we're full up with medics, we're gonna keep track. We're gonna do a 6-month study to see if that's increasing it, wages or whatever. Because the last couple years, we've been relying a lot on overtime because we've been so short-staffed, to see how that affects it. And then 6 months from now, I'll be presenting that if that's something that we want to keep going forward with. If it's going to be increasing my budget or if it's not, if we're staying the same. So we'll talk about that when we know more information. And my whole hope is that those two crews are going to decrease response times, and that, make sure that that southern ambulance is freed up to keep the southern area, covered while we take care of a lot of the calls around where the high volume is. And I'm able to keep track of what units are going out more. Like when I had my last one, I showed you how, the responses per unit. Well, I'm hoping that now Unit 1 and Unit 2 is going to share that burden. And that keeps, like I said, everybody more free to cover the outlying areas. And we do have I do have that ambulance down in Exlin. I'm going to be meeting during one of the fire meetings down with the Exlin Fire Department to see about their fire. And once this other ambulance is stickered and ready to go, I'm going to talk to Robbie and seeing about getting that one back in Stone Lake. So other than that, that's the direction we're going. If you guys have any suggestions or want to talk about anything else, go ahead.
Any questions, Mr. Fremmel?
No, it's a good report, thanks.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
All right, I got to get going. So
Okay. All right. Number 15.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I think on the agenda, there was also just a quick report about the meetings with the towns that we had. I believe that was on there.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted a chance to let the committee know that we did have a meeting last month with, out in the town of Round Lake with primarily it was Round Lake, but the initial letter came from the towns of Round Lake, Spider Lake, Hunter, and the town of Hayward, and that was regarding the desire to have a third full-time base out in Round Lake. They had offered or have offered a piece of property at the town hall to build a garage. Mr. Buckholz was there, Mr. Fremmel and I, and a number of the town board members and fire department representatives. Had a good dialogue of the concerns they have for response times out in that area. And we were able to share some of the struggles or things we've been working on as far as staffing, just to staff what we have already committed to. As far as follow-up from that, there was not another date set, but we did say we would gather up cost estimates for what it would cost to have a permanent base in that area. Partly we can base that off of the Ojibwa garage. I'm not sure that it's going to be real accurate, but just, we pulled those numbers together. The Ojibwa garage cost $638,000 for the county to build. That being said, you probably could get by with something smaller. And there was, I understand, a considerable amount of extra site work that had to occur at that site. So, you're still looking though, I would say, at $500,000 for the actual physical garage. And then there's the matter of staffing another full-time crew, and really to make any positive impact on response times. Like Mr. Fremmel said, we're now 2-person crews, trying to get 3 ambulances up and running at any one time. We could shift one of those Hayward crews out there, but honestly, a lot of the time it would be shifted to other areas where there's higher call volume. So if you really wanted to commit to improve response times in that area, it'd probably be a 4th crew. And I throw out the number of 750,000. That's about what it takes to staff a full-time ambulance, just in the staffing cost, not counting any additional overhead cost of having another garage, additional ambulance, that type of thing. So we'll continue to put together the numbers. I mean, ultimately, there's no hard and fast way to say good idea or bad idea. It's kind of valuing what the need or demand is versus what it's going to cost. The ambulance levy is outside of the regular operating levy, so there is room to do that. It just has to be paid for. But, this is not an isolated concern. And we've already heard before from Edgewater having concerns about they contract with Birchwood, yet the taxpayers there still pay their portion of the ambulance levy from the county. We understand Sand Lake is unhappy with the service that they've been receiving. We're trying to get them the information to understand what response times are, and perhaps there's more. It was discussed some at the Towns Association meeting last week on the service level. So I guess we will continue to address it and put the information together, but that's the follow-up at this time.
Okay. Andy, when we were at the Wisconsin Towns Association meeting, it was brought to my attention that the town of Round Lake can apply for a grant to build an ambulance garage. Did anybody mention anything to you about that, or no?
Nothing specific, no.
Oh, okay. That's what I was told. They can apply for a grant. I guess it'd be up to them to do that, instead of having the county have to build something out there. But right now, my priority is with getting this radio communication set up, not another ambulance garage at this time. But anyway, okay, anybody have any more? Mark, go ahead.
Well, just to go along with that, building a building is one thing, but staffing it is the big problem. So.
Right.
It is. It's a struggle to staff what we have. I mean, we've had to do some internal sending people that are EMTs to paramedic school to have paramedics. The county committed to a paramedic level service, and I think a full-time service in 2017. And so we have to maintain that licensure. We have to maintain enough paramedics to do that. We've been really sticking to that plan, or as much as possible. What's changed is also difficult staffing is there just doesn't seem to be as much interest in the volunteer EMTs that are available for calls in the Round Lake or Stone Lake areas where they used to do that. We're hoping to do that in Exlin where there are EMTs that we know of that hopefully will make themselves available for call. But that seems to be the biggest struggle, is just not enough interest in, well, being a paramedic or EMT period, either full-time or part-time, but really we lost those outlying bases with not having people available for volunteer time.
Okay. Any more questions for him? All right. Thank you, Andy. All right. Number 15, Criminal Justice Coordinating Council.
I think
Andy?
Judge Isham, I think, really covered all of that.
Okay. All righty. Number 16, Board Appointed Committee Updates. Anybody have anything they want to share? No? All right. Number 17, Correspondence Reports from Conferences and Meetings. Future agenda items. Anybody have anything they want to put on next month's agenda? If not, I want to thank everybody and we are adjourned.